So welcome to our webinar today. This is one of our finance focus sessions, one of our regular occurrences. Takes place every few weeks, roughly every month, every 4 or 5 weeks. And it's really an opportunity for people to hear from a particular funder or social investor or somebody else offering funding and finance to social enterprises in the third sector. So we've had a lot of different types of organizations come along to speak, traditional funders, as I said, social investors, etc. Some of you will be very familiar with the format, some of you might be quite new as well. So it's pretty simple, pretty straightforward. We give a kind of platform to a funder or a social investor, and then we have a bit of a Q&A after, so everybody gets an opportunity to ask some questions about what they're hearing. So I'm delighted to welcome Pauline Grandison of the Coalfields Regeneration Trust, who's joining us today. And I will just hand over to Pauline just now to share her screen. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Duncan. Oh. I hope everybody can see that. And so thank you for asking me along today, and welcome everybody who's joined the session. So I'm Pauline Grandison, and I'm the Programme Manager with the Coalfields Regeneration Trust. The Coalfields Regeneration Trust was set up in 1999, and we are the only organisation which is dedicated to the 5.5 million people living in the former mining towns and villages throughout the UK. We have offices in Wales who are funded through the Welsh Assembly, and we have our offices in England who used to be funded through Westminster, but since 2015 they haven't received any funding from the government and are self-sustaining in England. And then we have Scotland, and we are based in Kincardine, and we receive our funding through the Scottish Government. We receive £750,000 per year, and in the past we were solely a funding organisation. We did receive £1.5 million per year, but up until 2011 and the funding was reduced, so we had to actually start looking at different ways in which we could still help to regenerate our coalfield communities. So we deliver regeneration programmes in 8 to 9 coalfield communities across 13 local authority areas, from the west of Scotland down East Ayrshire through to the east of Scotland and the Leavenmouth area. CRT, all 3 countries have the same priorities, and these priorities are health and well-being, skills and employment. So the way that Scotland are set up, because each of the individual countries run different types of programmes, but in Scotland we, as I said previously, we're based in Kincardine. We have been there since 2018. We were able to purchase a building in the village centre, and we opened that up as our Coalfields Training and Enterprise Hub. We also received funding through Fife Council, who helped us to do the inside of the building, but we own the building outright. So that is now our base for our Scottish office. The main programme that we have is our Coalfields Community Futures, and that has been running since we changed our priorities and the way that we had to work after our funding was reduced. And with the Futures programme, we assist communities to create community action plans. And over that time, we have helped communities produce 52 action plans. And these plans are what the community see as being their priorities. They're 5-year action plans, and they're done from the bottom up. It's basically we consult with the communities, we hold open days where we do our consultations with them, and together with a steering group that is formed from local groups, local interested parties within the communities, we then work with them for about a year to create their action plans. And then from that, we have the Coalfields Community Action. I'm actually, apart from being the programme manager, I'm the team leader with this particular team. And within this, we have our Coalfields Investment Programme, which I'll talk a wee bit about when I go on to the next slide. We also have, we hold annual networking days where we bring all the groups together that have received funding in the past and that are interested in hearing about our new programmes, and we usually dedicate that to one of our priorities and have guest speakers. We also support youth banks in some of our areas, and these are for young people who want to actually do grant funding themselves. We provide them with a pot of money, and YouthLink Scotland give them SQA training and qualifications in grant giving and various other things which have just actually been released for this year. So we're working very closely with young people. And then we move on to the Coalfields Regeneration, and we have a development manager who is lead with that. One of the big programs that we have going on at the moment is within Kincardine itself, and we are working with Sustrans to redesign. If anyone knows Kincardine, there's traffic lights which have been there for a number of years, which are a bone of contention within the community. So we're looking to be able to redevelop that particular area of the road, and also the high street, make it more attractive, and try to bring investment back into Kincardine. Then one of our newer programs, which we just brought online during the pandemic, is our Game on Scotland. This is a diversionary football program where we work in various communities and set up a program of footballing events on a Friday night. So we try to tackle antisocial behaviour and encourage young people to come along and be active and take part in a sporting activity. Through the Game On, we also host our Coalfields Communities Cup, and the young people that participate in Game On all come together. It's on the 19th of June, actually, in Kelty Hearts ground, who, if anybody knows about football, we're just newly promoted on Saturday, and I'm smiling because that's where I come from and that's my local team. So the young people take part in a round robin game of football, and then they go on, the winners of that and the runners up then go down to England, and this year it's at the Etihad Stadium in Manchester, where they play in the home internationals. So that is teams from Wales, England and Scotland. And then we have, again, which is a new programme, the Coalfields Community Landscape Partnership. This is funded through the Heritage Lottery, and this is based through in East Ayrshire. This programme is all about connecting the rural communities within that area. And we have been able to appoint a development manager who's taking this particular project forward. So the programmes that we have for 22-23 are, as I said, our Coalfields Community Investment Programme. We have small grants for this between £3,000 and £5,000. The funding is open to any voluntary organisation that is constituted, charities and social enterprises. We also have our special projects, which can be for various amounts. With the special projects, these are for sort of up to 10,000, and then from the 10,000 plus. With these, organisations are asked to sort of approach us with an idea that they have, because we use this as being for different types of programs, something that we've maybe never run before that might be interesting and might be beneficial to our communities that we work in. So we're always open to suggestions for new and innovative programs for this funding. Our local place plans from the community futures, which were the previous action plans, as the government are now looking at local place plans being adopted by communities. So we have, through the first lockdown, we were able to spend some time developing the place standard tool. So we have made it a very interactive tool to use in our communities. We've created the questions with 14 banners, which we can go out and about in communities and get people to give us the answers to the 14 standard questions. We also managed to create a virtual room as well, which has been really good to use through these times when we haven't been able to actually get out into our communities. Because this is new, we haven't actually produced our first plan yet, but we're working in the communities of Kelty, Crossgates, Cluckmannan and Cardowan at the moment to create these plans. Coalfield Works programme, this has actually been going on for a couple of years now, and this was actually set up through our special projects programme. This is an employability programme, and we work with a partner who can deliver the Coalfield Works. It's an environmental project where we appoint a supervisor and up to 3 trainees that we will take on for up to a year. We will provide those trainees with various training and qualifications that will hopefully help them on their route to full-time and permanent employment. At the moment, we will just be starting this programme in the Cowdenbeath area of Fife, and working with an organisation that is well known through this area called Bragg. So we're very much looking forward to bringing on some young people to be able to get them into work. And then, as I said, I've spoken about our Game On Scotland programme, which hopefully over the next year we will be able to roll that out in more of our coalfield communities. And on this slide, you'll just see a wee snapshot of some of the things that we funded. The top one is a fire engine at a transport museum through in East Ayrshire. We've got our Coalfield Works van. One of the other special projects that we did this year was a Glyn Award, which is a Grow and Learn in Nature. And we worked with growing projects throughout our coalfield areas and helped the participants gain the awards through the Caledonian Royal Horticultural Society. And then in the corner you can see the banners that we have produced, which we were able to get out just for a couple of occasions just before the Christmas lockdown. So the training hub that we have, we're an accredited SQA centre, and hopefully we will remain so. We've got an audit coming up in the next month, so hopefully that will go successfully as it has done previously. We have, before the pandemic, we were delivering accredited and non-accredited qualifications from our building in Kincardine. we're able to deliver the volunteer awards, which has been very, very successful, and gives volunteers something that they're putting their time into volunteer, and they know what they're getting out of it, but to actually get a qualification could help them if they're not in work, and it can go on their CV. We also, the non-accredited qualifications, we do health and safety, food hygiene, IT skills, and various other things. Because of the lockdowns and the pandemic, we haven't been able to deliver from our hub, and we also during that time lost our training officer who retired, and then the assistant who was sort of filling in had left as well. So we really need to start creating new partnerships and finding out what our communities need as far as qualifications go. Everything doesn't need to be delivered from the centre because it isn't maybe accessible to everyone. So we will be going out and about and round our communities to assess what the needs and training is and deliver them where it's needed. Also, as I said, we moved in 2018, and the whole point of our building, apart from being our Scottish office, which is our desks and things are up on the top floor there, the first floor. But on the ground floor, the way that the building was designed was we have got 6 hot desks, we've got 2 small offices, and we have a larger training room up the stairs. So this year, one of our aims is to be able to actually utilise the building more and to hopefully get people to come in and use the hot desks. It could be that people are maybe still working from home but want to come out and use the facilities that we have there, such as the printer and various things that we can help them with. It could also be a chance for people that use the hot desk to network with one another, because we are looking at small businesses, social enterprises, and various people to come in and use our centre. And then finally, the future for CRT, we are only funded year on year. And as a lot of you will know, you never know what the next year is going to hold for organisations such as ourselves. As I said previously, our England organisation, they are no longer funded by the government, and they've had to become self-sustainable. So of course we've got to look at ways that we can do that as well. So one of the things that we're looking at just now, it's still, nothing's been signed, sealed, so we're still in talks, but hopefully everything will work out, is the townhouse in Cowdenbeath. This was a building that was, it's a listed building, well over 100-year-old. It's in on the high street in Cowdenbeath, and was previously used as the council offices. They moved out about 6 years ago, so the building has been vacant since then. So one of the things that we would like to do is we're working with an organisation called Company Shop at the moment, and the Company Shop then develop what they call community shops within various communities all over England at the moment. So we want to be the first in Scotland to have a community shop. And the ethos of this is that people that are on benefits can access cheap, reasonably priced food. It's up to 70% cheaper than the local supermarket. People have to become a member to join the community shop, and with their membership, not only do they get the cut price food, they also are encouraged to do various pieces of training. There will be a cafe there as well, and people will be looking for people to come on board and to get training within the cafe setting, and they also will be able to get financial advice, and of course, which is very, very important at the moment. So there'll be various things that this organisation do, as well as providing the food. On the upstairs, one of the things that we're hoping to do, because the upstairs will be run by CRT, is creating small units, which hopefully we will be able to encourage small social enterprises to be able to hire out the rooms and to use. And with that, we would hope that we can provide some services for them, some support and some guidance as maybe new and up and coming social enterprise want to set up within the Cowdenbeath area of Fife. Then in Dalmellington, we're just about on signing on the dotted line for what was the Royal Bank building. Again, that's on the High Street in Dalmellington. And if you're not familiar with the village, it is a very, very rural village. Not very many services are actually run out of there anymore. So what we're looking at is being able to provide a hub that will have various services that the community can access running out from it. We're also looking at having a very small tourist information centre, and we'll also have our office for a development officer that's working down there at the moment. Within Dalmellington itself, there's a lot of various projects happening, and one of them is looking at a bike course up in the area of sort of Lochdoon. So hopefully the hub will, as I say, have tourist information on all the things that are actually going on in Dalmellington. And then finally, one of the things that's really taken off down in England, and I think Wales are looking at it as well, is building industrial units. So looking at pieces of land where these can be built on that are very accessible for transport links, and also having reasonably priced units for up and coming and also established businesses to be able to run out of. Sometimes an office just isn't enough, and people need, and organisations need a bit of bigger space. So this is one of our priorities for this year. So there's various pieces of land that we're in talks with various local authorities to be able to replicate that in Scotland. And from all of these things, not that the townhouse or the hub in Dalmellington will create a lot of income, but any income that does come in will of course be put back into our communities. And that is the way that England now work, and especially with the industrial units, there's a big income, although we are able to keep the costs of these smaller than if it was a private company that was building these. And of course, they're within our coalfield areas, which in some areas there's not a lot actually going on at the moment, and we need to try regenerate these areas and bring more work and businesses into them. So that's me. So any questions?
Thanks, Pauline. That's great. Really good summary there. Lots of activities obviously happening as well. So a few questions come in, but I'll just start by asking, I suppose, one of the most basic questions, which is, I suppose, lending criteria. So just a bit about kind of which organisations you would lend to and which ones you maybe wouldn't lend to. That's okay. Right.
So it's the way that we work is with funding applications. So we fund grants. The organisations have to be constituted, but they don't have to be a charity. and it can be a social enterprise as well. We have supported a number of social enterprises in the past. We've done various challenges when we did have larger amounts of funding. But as I said, up at the moment, we only have up to £5,000 to be able to fund organisations. We cover, as I say, 8 to 9 eligible areas, so anyone applying to us has to fall within one of our eligible areas. And to find that out, if they just contact, so I didn't actually put my contact details on there, sorry, is to contact the office, and David, who deals with our grants, would be able to talk through any ideas and things that organisations may have.
Brilliant. Other questions come in, I suppose, about which areas you operate in. So obviously some of us know quickly what our former Coalfield areas are, but is there a kind of map where people can see the specific details of the areas you operate in?
Yes, we have. We've got a eligible wards list. So the if I can just think of the, I mean, I can't name every 8 to 9, although I've been there for 15 years and I do know most of them, but all 8 to 9 would probably be quite hard. But we have eligible areas in East Ayrshire, South Ayrshire, then East Dunbartonshire, Falkirk, Stirling, Clackmannan, Fife, South Lanarkshire, North Lanarkshire, and the Lothians, we have Mid Lothian, East Lothian, and West Lothian.
It's quite good.
Not all of those areas we do have. Yeah. It's then broken down. So if anyone is in those areas, then if they contact us, we would be able to sort of go a bit more in depth. The organisation itself doesn't necessarily have to be based within our eligible area, as long as the project and the service that they're providing, the beneficiaries come from our area, and up to 70% of the beneficiaries need to come from our areas.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, absolutely. It's good to know that as well, actually. So Gemma's also asking, is there a maximum income for charities which would stop them from applying, maybe?
Yeah, our maximum is 250,000 unrestricted.
Yeah, if anybody's got any further questions, just continue posting them in the chat as we go through. Yeah, I just wanted to ask, I suppose, about the organisation itself, in a sense that it's a very grassroots democratic organisation in terms of the support you offer. For obvious reasons, it's very place-based. Do you want to talk a bit more about that? Just talk about the kind of, you know, how that makes you different from other funders, maybe in some ways.
I mean, I think that the whole thing that we are set up for the ex-Coalfield areas, you know, that's what makes us different, because our communities are, the majority of them are very rural. They are still very disadvantaged. Some of them were going into 4th generation unemployment in these particular areas. And the thing that we get most when we do get inquiries and when we go out and speak to people is that they feel forgotten. They feel like they are the forgotten communities. So, you know, that's really what makes us, you know, different from, I mean, yes, there's lots of funders out there, but it's the dedication, I think, that we have and the understanding that we have of our communities. I mean, the majority of it, not that you have to have a Coalfield background to work with us, but there is quite a number of us that, you know, actually live in these communities and, you know, have experienced the closures of the pits. And I mean, me myself, you know, my dad was a miner. I still live in a mining community, so we see it on our doorstep. So, you know, we have the empathy with our communities. And, you know, we're not just at the end of a phone, not saying that all funders are, you know, they do come out, but we are you know, we make sure that for every inquiry that we have regarding an application, someone will visit the prospective applicant to discuss their project. You know, it won't just be over a phone. You know, we will come out and we'll see what it is that you're doing.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting about CRT. You've got that kind of, it's a very grassroots. You are connected to your communities, maybe more so than other funders are, certainly. So there's a couple more questions come in. Martin's asking, are you looking at any health and well-being opportunities with older people, maybe?
We don't have anything at the moment, but again, that's, you know, that's what we're here to listen to, what, you know, what type of projects are out there and what we could maybe be supporting. So if an organisation has, if that's what they're working with, then, you know, we're happy to discuss, you know, any types of projects. It's just that the ones that we're focusing, yes, there is a lot on young people. You know, that's clearly coming through. And although our training opportunity, the training and learning opportunities that we're hoping to do a program with, hopefully within the next couple of months, we definitely will be looking at the older generation. You know, we'll be looking at to see how we can support them. So, but we're open to anyone talking to us about any ideas they have.
Today. And Nicola is asking, is the fund always open, or the fund's always open, or can you advise on opening and closing dates, or is there any particular good time to apply?
Yeah, we have it's a rolling program, so we don't put any closing dates on. Our applications are put to our trustees when we have our Scottish committee meetings, and they happen 4 times a year, but we don't put any deadlines. So just basically when an application comes into us, we then process it for the next available committee meeting.
Okay, that makes sense as well. And someone's asking, Fiona's asking, can you apply for more than one program at a time? Is that possible?
Yes, because if it's you can have a community investment program grant, and if there is a bigger project that you'd like us to look at for the special projects, then you could have a larger one running at the same time.
Okay. That's great. I think that's most of the questions in the chat just now. Oh, sorry, one just popped in from Laura.
Yeah, I see that.
To achieve the SQA assessor status?
I think from us looking to be an accredited centre, I think it took us maybe 7 or 8 months, something like that. It wasn't a very long process. I think the biggest thing was really just getting all the policies and things in place. So if you, I mean, thankfully we had an expert who is the chap that actually retired. So he was able to write up our policies and things very quickly.
I suppose just coming back to that question about, I suppose, types of organisations, what are you kind of seeing at the moment? Are you seeing a change in the types of organisations coming forward? Is it still, you know, a lot of traditional charity models, or are there more social enterprises coming forward, or is that kind of stayed pretty much the same? Or?
I think because our funding was cut, of course we had to cut our the amounts that we had for funding programs. In previous years, I would say that we supported more social enterprises because, you know, they could be looking for larger sums of money. With the smaller sums of money that we've got, it does tend to be the smaller grassroots organisations that are coming to us. We often hear that it's ones that, not your typical ones that awards for, you know, we always sort of said that Awards for All would fund everything, but, you know, as with any funding organisation, they don't have the funds either. So we do get a lot that have maybe been knocked back from Awards for All and they come to us. We do have a lot of miners' welfares and bowling clubs that come to us as well. Miners' welfares, because they don't get a lot of support, because they are sort of still seen as the typical like drinking den, and we've tried to work with them to make them have more of a business and community model. But unfortunately, we haven't seen a lot of social enterprises, but I think that is down to the money that we've got.
That's interesting. And yeah, Nicola has just posted that she's happy to have a chat about community transport, just as a kind of general chat, catch up about that. Saying it's more than just minibuses, so it's a lot, a lot of aspects to community transport, I think.
Yeah, and I'll put my contact details into the chat.
Yeah, that'd be great. Actually, yeah, if you're happy to have people just contact you, that'd be great. Just to sometimes maybe have an informal chat before they apply for anything. I think that's always quite useful for people to have a kind of basic conversation. And just a quick question as well about, I suppose, the kind of people and groups you work with. So you did talk a lot about obviously partnership working at a local level as well as a national level as well, and also working with young people. If you want to maybe just touch on a couple of those points, how important it is and how that affects your work.
Yeah, well, we've got to, when we do the programs, because we can't deliver ourselves, with us, you know, we are a relatively small organisation, although we have grown over the past few years. So we have to look for delivery partners for the programs and the projects that we have. So at the moment, as I said, we're working with Bragg, who are, you know, a very well-known social enterprise. Also with the Fife Employment and Access Trust. Again, you know, we had a partnership doing the environmental project with them, but we see the partnership working being very, very important. The employability, especially with the types of programs that we run. We're doing a sports works program just now, and that again is involving really, we don't put an age limit, but we tend to get more young people being involved in that. And it's an 8-week program that we're working with Falkirk Football Foundation, and it is part sports and part employability. So we really need the support of Falkirk Football Foundation to deliver the coaching and the employability side of that program, because we just can't do that ourselves. So partnership working and always looking for new partners is something, you know, that's very high priority for us.
Excellent. So yeah, so we're just coming up to 1:15 just now, actually. So if anybody's got any final questions, please do post them in the chat. I think that's really, really useful. I think people, I think a lot of people maybe wouldn't know as much about CRT as they would have done. So that's really useful. I grew up in a mining community myself, actually, so it's actually quite interesting to hear kind of all the different activities that are taking place. And I currently live in Fife as well, so another ex-mining community. So yeah, I'm not seeing any questions posted in the chat just now, but of course, yeah, Pauline has posted her contact details in the chat, so please do get in touch with her if you've got any follow-up questions, or indeed get in touch with me if you want to as well. I can pass them on to Pauline, happy to do that. But yeah, that's really, really useful actually, Pauline. I really, really appreciate that. I think that's really valuable for our attendees as well. Hopefully we can increase the number of social enterprises getting involved as well. That'd be always good.
Definitely, and I think with us hopefully going to have the hub in Cowdenbeath, if there's anyone within that particular area, you know, it would be really interesting anyway to find out what type of support, not necessarily the funding side of things, but what other type of support that we can, as an organisation, can be looking at for social enterprises. Because as I say, in the past, we did support them. We had a huge challenge programme where a young lad from East Ayrshire won £50,000 to set up his social enterprise, and we did a sort of Dragon's Den. Unfortunately, we've not got the funding anymore to be able to do that type of thing, but it was, you know, it was a great piece of work that we did, and we worked with a lot of new and up-and-coming social enterprises then, and it is something that we want to do in the future.
Yeah, brilliant. We're happy to facilitate that as well. Any discussions as well, help you guys to connect with social enterprises. We're happy to do that. Brilliant. Well, thank you very much, Pauline, and thanks everybody for coming along today. As I said, yeah, do get in touch with me or Pauline with any further questions. That's great. Have a good day.
Thank you.
See you later.
Thanks. Bye.
See you later.